So I want to get Texas Governor Greg Abbott in on this. The governor also met with the president today. I don't want to take the leap that many in the media were making, Governor, that this is going nowhere fast, but it looks like it's going nowhere fast. So what's the fallout then? If it does fall apart, can Republicans easily pivot now to tax cuts? Because that, I'm told, is a lot easier said than done. What do you think?
Well, listen, one of the priorities the president has is to stimulate the economy. One of the components of doing that is those tax cuts. The president, is my perception, fully intends to move aggressively down the pathway to ensure those tax cuts are implemented. Second, but also related to that, Neil, is the fact of why it was that I was meeting with the president today. We met to make a big jobs announcement that shows the president, even though he's involved in this health care fight, is also working to ensure that we are creating more jobs in the state of Texas, across the United States. And what today's announcement dealt with was the onshoring or reshoring, the return to the United States about jobs that have been offshored in the past. So the president remains committed to the full dynamics of what he campaigned on to ensure that we improve the economy, we create more jobs across the United States of America.
Does it bother you, Governor, and you and I have chatted about this before, and I always think with news networks, business networks, we have plenty of time to get into the bad news, the disappointing news for Donald Trump, as well as the good news, the latter you just alluded to. But it seems disproportionately negative. Now, many would argue, and my colleagues in the press say, well, that's because the news is disproportionately negative for Donald Trump. I'm not so sure about that. But I do know that these type of jobs announcements, and even yours with the president today, tend to get short shrift. I don't think I'm making an editorial judgment here as much as a statement of fact. Does that bother you?
Well, it is frustrating when it seems like some components of the news media want to focus only on the bad or only on ways that are antagonistic to the president. But listen, the reality is what everyday Americans feel and believe and think, and what everyday Americans see is a president who is focused on creating more jobs in this country. Remember, that is why the president won the election in the first place. It dealt with those blue-collar jobs in Michigan and Ohio and Wisconsin and states like that. And what the president announced today, what he's focused on and what he is achieving is addressing those economic concerns by middle-class Americans.
Well, you know, it's interesting. Part of the appeal that Texas has had and you have had as a governor, enticing businesses to relocate, has been your very low taxes, in some cases zero taxes for these companies that come in. So we already know that tax cuts are a great boon to businesses that want to seek out better havens. We already know they're popular. I know it's playing Monday morning quarterback, Governor, but do you think the priority should have been on this administration, and maybe even now, to reset it toward tax cuts, toward something at which Republicans by and large agree, and that has great popular support as well? What do you think?
I think there's several things that must be done and can be done at the same time. One is to focus on those tax cuts. Two is to continue the focus on regulatory reform and regulatory reduction. We're seeing that whether it be in Dodd-Frank or the EPA or with regard to so many different ways. It's, I believe, as much the regulatory reduction that is stimulating the stock market, that's stimulating the economy, that's elevating what Jamie Dimon called the animal spirits among businesses across this country. So we need to do multiple things to stimulate our economy. Remember this, Neil, and that is during the entirety of the Obama administration, gross domestic product never exceeded 3%. I believe that President Trump will be able to get it above 3% by the combination of his tax cuts and regulatory reform.
Finally, Governor, I just want to get your sense of the lay of the Washington land. You don't leave your state a great deal, so when you do it, it's noteworthy. And obviously, Texas is doing very, very well. But the feeling seems to be that Republicans are starting out with a stumble. They would not be the first party that starts things off stumbling. But are you worried for your party?
Not at all, because for one, we do have a bold, aggressive agenda that connects with Americans in the way that we need to. The kind of thing that has made Texas so great, the kind of thing that's made Texas #1 in the nation for job creation is exactly what the Republicans will be focusing on, the things that we will achieve. And so I think that as we reach out and continue the agenda that we're focused on, it will connect with those in their pocketbooks in ways that Americans really desire.
Governor, thank you very much, and for your patience through all of this. Governor Greg Abbott of the beautiful state of Texas. Thank you, sir.